Hello everyone, my name is Gergő Benedek and I'm here to talk about how to create content that is really great. I got double master's degrees in media and sociology, and I have been working as a journalist, PR expert, social media manager, copywriter, and now I'm a freelance content marketer in the last 6-7 years. I make my living off of writing blogs, business blogs, while occasionally I'm helping out businesses with content strategy and copywriting as well. And I've got a lot to tell you today, so let's get right into it. First of all, I have to admit that I'm kind of depressed and angry because the amount of toxic content you guys have to wade through, like day by day, it's honestly mind-blowing. Content is like a swamp at the moment, I'm afraid. But I'm positive that once we cross to the other side, we will find the green pastures and the quiet waters and all that good stuff. So what is the problem today? The problem is that the discussion in communication science and marketing is not about how to create good content. Instead, we are chasing this mythical thing called conversion, which, mind you, originally means leaving behind your old religion and take up a new one. Search engine optimization is not enough actually to successfully convert, because it's garbage. I mean, honestly, if you see SEO optimize an article and you leave it at that, it's not a pleasant thing to read. And obviously not because it's created for algorithms. It's for people who use search engines to find your stuff. But why should you stop there? The job is not done just yet. I'm not against SEO. It's extremely important, in fact. But marketing experts are absolutely obsessed about what you need to do with your content to make it convert, to make it sell. And somehow, almost no one talks about how to create good content, like actually good content. Although really good content happens to convert, and not just only convert, it demonstrates your expertise, it boosts your recommendations, because people are more likely to send the stuff to others if they like it themselves, like stylistically, like they enjoy it, not just for the technical and practical usefulness of the article. And it also creates demand. Okay, how did we end up here? Why are we in this situation? I need to talk about the context, a little bit, a very brief history of content marketing. First model from 2010, roughly from until 2015. These are my own estimates. There have been channels, ads, social media, content, earned media, and word of mouth. And brand recognition was the key. And that brand recognition was used to generate traffic to conversion platforms. And the most important tools have been AdWords and SEO. Second model, second phase of content marketing, 2015-2020, growth hacking. All this, which I have mentioned before in the previous phase, is now bundled together in a neat system, and it's all about testing the certain different phases of this system. The third model, 2020 and roughly 2025, in my prediction, demand generation is the most important thing right now, and it works through dark social. The key thing is that key things are community, value, intent, and demand. So basically what you want to do today, capturing the high intent demand after building affinity through community content. What does this even mean though? You create tons of valuable content, and this content creates the demand, and you can capture this demand later. You create consistent value, and you will be chosen when the need arises, okay? When your users, when your readers, when your community finally have the high intent, they are specifically at the moment when their business needs your service, then they will choose you and not some of your competitors, because you have been generating and creating great valuable content that help them think about their own businesses and their lives. It mostly happens in the dark. This is why it's called dark social. It's a long process and you cannot track it, because it's not like, okay, I captured someone and I got the email address and then I do remarketing and I do Facebook ads and I see where the clicks go, and finally it finishes in a conversion. Like, for example, someone buying something in your web shop or whatever your business is about. It's not like that. It's like you push in a lot of content and you create a lot of value, and they go away, they come back, they go away, they come back, and when the time comes, they will come back with a direct intent, like totally ready for conversion. Okay, wait, what is content anyway? Okay, it's not self-explanatory, I think. So is this content? Is this content as well?
The Second Coming by W.B. Yeats. Turning and turning in the widening gyre, the falcon cannot hear the falconer. Things fall apart, the centre cannot hold. Mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. The blood-dim tide is loosed, and everywhere the ceremony of innocence is drowned. The best lack all conviction,
while the worst are full of passionate intensity.
Surely some revelation is at hand. Surely the second coming is at hand.
So why exactly do we allow ourselves to create content that is not really good? Why not live with the opportunity to create something great? I mean, the falcon cannot hear the falconer. How beautiful is this? I mean, you can almost hear the roaring thunder of deafening noise of content swirling around you. This is a beautiful expression of this situation, this circumstance that we are finding ourselves in. My point is that these are classics, obviously. I mean, calling these pieces of art content, it sounds like blasphemy. But why can we call other kinds of content then? So why is my article is content if these are like artistic masterpieces? What I'm trying to get at is that you always have the opportunity to create something memorable, to create something great, even if you are just putting together a simple Facebook post. I mean, the opportunity is there. So it's best to live with it. We have a content burnout context around us. Too much noise, too little value. Media consumption habits have already changed, and the people are getting fed up with becoming dumb doom scrollers. Further reading on this, The Shallows from Nicholas Carr. This is a book. Sean Illing, Stolen Focus, or you can just listen to the podcast interview with Mr. Illing. And the Ungated Manifesto, it's just a web essay from Rob Hardy. These are really eye-opener pieces of content about the current situation, what I'm describing. But why did I say that the future at the start of this presentation that the situation is bleak, but the future is bright? This chaos, this uncertainty brings great opportunities for us, because now we have the option to differentiate ourselves from all the noise just by putting in some extra effort. And it will, and my guess is that, and my conviction is that, and actually my practice shows it, because if this wouldn't work, then I wouldn't be able to sustain myself. That value works, okay? And so here are some bold predictions, like bold. See what I did there, bold predictions. Okay, in the near future, only useful, valuable, fun, and easy to process content will be successful. So all of these things are needed to be successful. Deep reading is coming back. Digital media consumption will overall decrease, believe it or not, and drift towards high value, because scrolling and consuming a lot of short and easy to process content is making an effect on people that they start to dislike and start to be aware of. Okay, curation will be czar. Why I say this? Do you know the saying "content is king"? Obviously, most of you probably heard it. Content is, I'm afraid, not a king anymore. It's whatever, like a noble at best. Curation is will be one of the most important aspects, which is not something we can talk about a lot in this presentation, but let's just say that your aim is to create content that a lot of people who have a heavy influence will highlight and spread and mark it as a good content, and they can recommend it for a lot of those kind of people who are the most important and most valuable for you, like the core of your audience. We will all need good content consistently and a way to reliably reach your audience, and the way to do that is to build a community. So where are my writing tips? Finally, right? So you came for the writing tips, guys. Well, I just needed to describe this context, this landscape around us, because it makes us all understand why high value content is maybe more important than ever before. So how can we create these high value content pieces that lead to success under these global circumstances that I have described? Okay, now maybe you think that I should give you a crash course about how to write well or how to create content well in like 20 minutes. And you are not wrong in that expectation, but please keep in mind that although the craft of writing is absurdly underrepresented today in the discussion in the current marketing space, it's still something that people historically studied at like universities for years, okay? So instead, what I can give you here is rapid fire tips that will hopefully mercilessly execute your concepts, your current concepts about writing, and give you the opportunity to go back to the basics and nurture and grow your inner creativity, enabling you to create something truly memorable and beautiful. And it also works with every kind of content. So this presentation is mostly about writing, of course, but through editing, I mean, very much of this can be used for audio or video as well. Okay, let's dive into it finally. What separates great content from the rest? Well, these 5 things are these define what a really great content is, in my opinion. Has a key takeaway: it has unique value, honest, credible, and authentic. It has an original style, personality. It invokes a feeling of this is important, with uncovering new interesting relations between subjects. And it invokes a this is different feeling, like, okay, this article is something different from what I expected. I've read a lot of these kind of articles, and this is somehow a little bit different. If you tick all these boxes, that it means that your content is really good. Okay. The phases of writing: preparation, writing, and editing. I will group my tips into these phases. First, 1, preparation. So how you start thinking about the piece that you are going to write. First of all, have a personality, establish a personality. When you are writing, you are an avatar, a representation, bodiless sentient ghost, the heart and soul of the organization or of whatever you are representing at the moment. It's also known as the tone of voice. Examples for tone of voice: business, like this is This is like 93% of all marketing copy and content right now. This is what most business content writers strive for, and this is what you should differentiate yourself from. Other TOV examples: girly, cool, underground, hipster, reserve like Michael Caine, IT, sport pundit, XD, I mean the emoji XD, like or ironic or ruthless. Okay, these are like typical TOVs that you can encounter on the internet. What kind of TOV you should build? It depends on yourself, of course, the industry, the niche, and the audience. And you need to research these things and create a character, so to speak, and stay inside that character for the most times. Because, a bonus tip, virtual characters are not one-dimensional either, okay? So you can have some depth, which means that you can break out of the usual frames for extra effect. But you should do this very rarely. You are like a financial advisor or something, and you choose like this Michael Caine kind of very reserved, very gentlemanly kind of communication style and character. And one day you go on an insane rant. Like you are absolutely horrified by something and things will need to change and da 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 da. That will make a huge effect. If you have built this character up successfully, it will give them, this post will have like an extra power, an extra effect on the reader, because they will think that, okay, if this guy is now so fed up with this and so angry about this, then it must be really, really important for him. So that's a very strong signal to your readers as well. You can use this. Second tip, know your audience. Research and infiltrate your communities online and in real life. Learn their expressions and understand their pain. Go into their online groups and be very humble in the beginning, and don't act like you know everything about the subject. If you don't know everything about the subject, just ask and be curious and make a lot of notes. Try to focus on, okay, how can I help these people? Because if you don't, then you will end up like this meme. We don't want people to feel like you are obviously here for a gain. You have your own agenda, and you don't really know what you're talking about, but you act like you are. So that's the worst. Your credibility will suffer, and if you don't have credibility, you can't create great content. What do you want with this piece that you are working on right now? What do you want the people to do? Have at least some kind of vague goal in your mind before you start working in the article. And you also need to know, how does it benefit them? And the third thing, what is the list of basic information pieces that they need? Okay, so make a list that I want my article to contain this and this and this. And these are the most important things that I want them to know. This is like a groundwork. You build up on this, and you can't leave anything out, because the content will suffer from that a lot. So it's really worth thinking through ahead. Okay, so this is the preparation phase. Have a personality, know your audience, identify the value. Preparation ends, writing starts. Writing, focus on the value. Write the stuff and don't write about the stuff. I see this in a lot of beginner writers' work. Like, I went to an event, it was very interesting. No, you should talk about what happened at the event, what happened to you at the event, what did you learn? I don't know, many people feel like this is good information because people will know that this event is great, and then they will go to the next event and that's it. No. Use every possible opportunity to generate value somehow, to give them something useful, what they can learn from. Dynamic engage, also known as in medias res, introduction, elaboration, peak, and solution. This is a very much built into us because this is how we process information, or at least this is how we did it for a very long time. So people are used to this structure. So if you never did any creative studies, most people start to use this structure instinctively. It comes from very deep. So you should avoid this. Instead, you should go right into the thick of it and then later zoom out for context. Well, the queen of the genres in journalism is the report, and the report contains several interviews, research of the journalist, and probably some personal visits to some physical locations. And this whole thing is about one thing. It's packaged into a single story, okay? And this is the report. And the best journalists always start with they open up with a scene. There I was. There was this guy. This is what the weather was like. The birds were singing. Thick plumes of smoke were rising in the background. You are there and you feel it and you hear it and you smell it and you don't even know what they are talking about. All the information you have comes from the title. So you clicked for the title and you know that you will get eventually what the title contains, but it brings you in with a storytelling tool like this, and it's pleasant. It's a nice feeling. They give the context later, okay? First, they give you something that is very interesting and very lifelike, because then the story comes alive. Brevity, keep it short. You can write a lot if you have the value, but be as brief as possible. More on this later. If you start rambling, you waste time and the reader is gone. No one tolerates it, especially now. People have no attention span whatsoever. And it's not just about attention span. Most people have they have a red alert built in their heads, which is scanning for BS. I don't know if I'm allowed to say what BS is, but if someone don't know what I mean, I ask them later and I will give it in writing. But don't trigger that red alert, okay? Because if you use BS, if they think you are BSing them, that means that you have an agenda and you are not honest and you just abuse this writer-reader situation. And they are instantly becoming defensive and will leave the content and probably not come back, maybe ever. Okay, so you don't want to trigger the BS alert. And the BS alert is easy to trigger if you just write a lot of stuff which has low value, too many words, but not much information, and it's not even interesting. Okay, so keep it brief. Rhythm and tempo. It's a cat and mouse game. Put them on a roller coaster. Clarity is important, but plant a few unexpected, surprising things to keep them guessing. Because writing is like composing. And you can test this if you read the text aloud. It sounds stupid, like sitting alone in a room and reading your own writing aloud, but maybe you need some practice to really hear how your text sounds like. Try to have some variety. So there can be slower parts, there can be faster parts. Slower parts are there to make the reader think a little bit deeper. And the shorter sentences and faster parts is when you want them to speed up, when you want them to get a little bit edgy, when you want to warn them about something that is coming, like this. So you have a sentence, then you break it, a shorter one, which leads into a question, and then you start answering the question. Here's a concrete example. Implementing an ERP is hard enough. Now, who commits to switching ERP software? Many companies are more likely to stay inside their burning headquarters, sitting at their computers, murmuring this is fine, than commit to an ERP switch. We get it. It's a hassle. It's not even without risks. The reason I wanted to show you this example, because if you use Grammarly will highlight this and it will tell you that these are short sentences in a row, which is not optimal. don't always have to listen to Grammarly, and you don't always have to play by the book. Okay, it's very important. I did this, I wrote this, and I did this with a purpose. It's like all leads up to something, obviously. I describe a situation, I bring the reader in with a hook, I reference a meme without mentioning the meme itself, very important. With a short sentences, obviously the solution comes after this, and the reader is already prepared and hopefully curious. Okay, mood management. Go ahead and switch the mood for dramatic effect. Set up a mood sentence by sentence, like spinning a spider web, and then boom, you break it. For example, be surprisingly honest. Not many businesses dare to do that. There is always room for improvement in that. Of course, you can make mistakes, and it's not without risks, but credibility is one of the key values, especially if you are trying to build a community. So you should describe how did you overcome problems. So you can see that you can actually create value about showing your vulnerable side. Like I did a mistake here, and this is what I learned from that mistake, and maybe this is what it enabled me to do later. Use honesty if you can. Make a joke while talking about something that serious. Be very analytical, technical, while at a light-hearted subject. I mean, because it's humorous and it's interesting and it's unexpected, so it differentiates you. Start with the usual narrative, but lead them elsewhere. Like create an article with a title and a structure that is like a very identifiable kind of genre, but use it for a different purpose than usually people use it for. That will be a memorable experience for your readers. Okay, so think about what they feel. Think about their moods, the moods you are invoking when they go through the article, and play around it like it's musically. Like here they are frightened, here they feel that okay, the danger is gone, here's a solution, and then you just make a twist and make them realize that there is a way bigger danger that they haven't been aware of at the start of the article. It sounds technical and complicated. All you need is to be aware of the possibility to do so, and it will come naturally. You don't need to use a lot of mental energy to do this. Just keep it in your mind and use it when you can. Okay, metanarratives. There is always a big context that surrounds what usually you are writing for a niche, writing about a niche for a community. And that niche is not self-contained, okay? So most business blogs are so focused on their own niche. Reality is never like that. There is always a big context around you. And your readers know that you know what they know. So you can use this. Sometimes please input something that is not related to the niche itself, but talks about the context. How does it relate to the big context? If you have the opportunity to use these storytelling techniques like personification, do it. The reader should be the protagonist. So what I'm talking about here is that use a structure of a story you know and like the movie Matrix or the novel you read last week, not like the full novel, but like the 3-4 main points of it, and just put your reader inside it and use the same structure when you are writing your business article. Okay, the reader should be the hero. The second best solution is if you are the protagonist, but this only works in a Gonzo style, for example, when you are testing products and you share your experience. When most content creators fall into this category when people follow you for who you are, like YouTubers and like influencers and this kind of stuff. This always happens even if you are in a business environment. Just it will not be that personal and won't be that direct, but you should strive for it honestly. Do not always give them exactly what they expect. So bring in interesting relations, insights that are different from your main topic. This is this is what I mentioned also before. Always try to widen the perspective, because it makes your readers feel smart, and it gives you new insights you can use. The reader likes it when you are smart, but the reader likes it even better if you make them feel smart. Okay, so this is why it's important to bring in these interesting, not very core niche subjects, because then you can like build a network of stuff that, okay, you see, this is how it is related to what I'm selling, or this, maybe you did not think about it this way, but this could be an important way if you do this and that. Okay, so this kind of stuff, giving them not exactly what they expect. The tools for this is radical honesty, tempo, mood switching, and other things I mentioned before. Surprise, that's the key emotion. I mean, this is one of the things that you want your readers to feel when they are consuming your content. So writing tips have been focus on the value, dynamic engage, brevity, rhythm and tempo, mood management, metanarrative, and do not give them exactly what they expect. Now the writing phase is over, but the article is not over. It still needs editing. Focus on brevity again. Don't fight skimming. People, most of you probably as well, read articles with like skimming, just skim through it and try to get the nuggets out of it without reading the whole thing. So you can help this behavior with giving a clear structure to your article. And for that, you need to be brief, you need to be very on point, and be very liberal about breaking your text into easy to see through pieces. And what should you cut? How should you ensure that you remove the fat and only the red meat remains? What you need to kill with fire in your own text? Obviousness. Like, don't waste your readers' time and energy on stating obvious things. That will just make them angry. It's not helpful at all. You don't have to think about, okay, but some of my readers maybe don't know. No. You don't think about some of your readers. You think about the typical reader. Like, you are building a community here, okay? So don't tell them stuff they already know. That's like waste of time. Don't do lengthy transpositions. So don't do this. Okay, now that we have understood that this thing is so important, now we can conclude this with this and go on to this other interesting subject, which will be about this and this. So let's get to it. No. You don't do this in anywhere. This is in journalism. It's like a red card, and it should be the same with business writing as well. And please, duplication is a no-no, okay? So you can write a very short, these were the key nuggets in this article at the end of it or something. That's not copying, that's not duplication, but don't say anything twice in your article, because that also makes your readers angry. Because like, what do you think? What I am, like, am I stupid or something? So why is he doing this? Why is he wasting my time telling this again with maybe a different wording? Don't do that. It's red card, kill it with fire. What happens if you end up in a situation when you are editing your own article that you realize that, okay, this is nice, but there are some parts that are a little bit too big and they are important, of course, but they are too long. Cut it very aggressively and create a new piece from that. And you are always be on the lookout for ways to stay in the loop and know what your readers are most interested in. So it's actually a blessing. You have a half-done article, just if you remove like a huge portion of your article that you think is too long, and that's it. Don't be afraid to change the whole concept on the fly even. Maybe you thought that you were writing about this thing, and you realize halfway through that, okay, this article actually is about a different thing. It's no problem. The key is of the value. Sleep on it. Final editing tip. Taking time away from your content gives time for your subconscious to work on it. You will be able to do highly valuable final touches, but you need a distance from your copy. So putting it away when you it's important when you think it's done. So editing is done and you are like, okay, I'm done. Then you put it away and you go back after a day or two, and then you review it, and you will make those very specific small edits that will just make it perfect. So you went from good to perfect, but you need the distance. This is how your mind works. Okay, that's it. A word before you go. You are an artist, so embrace it and be brave and try to create the best value always. Like I mentioned, the falcon cannot hear the falconer. Break the rules. But for breaking the rules, obviously, it's incredibly important that you know the rules. So I told you some of the rules. If you play by these rules that I crammed into this presentation, you will be fine in most cases. It's a good setup. It's a good base for developing further. But as I mentioned, sometimes there is no rule that should not be broken at least once or twice, okay? Because you are the creator, you are in command. So don't stick to the rules too heavily. If you think that, if I just wrote a little bit longer about this sentence is maybe too long, but I like it so much, I mean, feel free. Just know what you are doing, what you are playing with. Read high quality journalism and classic literature, not just self-help business books and marketing books and whatnot, and how to write good copy. So read good stuff and steal the tools liberally. And a secret bonus tip at the very end, like for our current day and age, Substack and other newsletters are great and underused sources of information. So yeah, try to read them. Thank you. And good luck for your endeavors and adventures in content creation. And I wish you and I urge you and I ask you to have a lot of fun with it.